Welcome to Friendly Math 101. Today our lesson is on writing rational functions from a graph. Before we get started, let's review the transformation function. So with our transformation function, we know that A will tell us our vertical stretch or compression, H tells us our horizontal translation, which is left or right, and our K value tells us our up or down translation, or vertical translation. This information is going to help us write equations from a graph because we're going to take that information off of a graph and substitute them back in. So looking at this graph, the first thing we want to do is identify our asymptotes. It looks like we have a vertical asymptote here at x equals 3. And then we have a horizontal asymptote at 1. And we're going to use that information to fill into our transformation function. So we're also going to have to identify a point. Let's go ahead and use this point here. It looks like that's the point 5, 2. And that's going to be our temporary x and y value. So let's remember that our transformation function is y equals a over x minus h plus k. So let's fill in this information. We know that y is temporarily 2. We don't know what a is. X is temporarily 5. Looking at our graph, our asymptote is at 3. Since we went to the right 3, it's going to be minus 3 because we already had that minus symbol in our function. And then our graph went up 1 because our asymptote's at 1, so our k value is going to be plus 1. And we're going to simplify this as much as we can. So we get 2 equals a over 5 minus 3 is 2 plus 1. And we're going to solve a two-step equation to get a by itself. So we'll subtract 1 from both sides of our equation. We get 1 equals a over 2. Multiply both sides of our equation by 2 to undo the division. It ones out on the right-hand side, and we're left with a equals 2. So when we rewrite our transformation function, it's going to be y equals 2 over x minus 3 plus 1. And that is our rational function of this graph. Let's do one more example. Again, the first thing that we want to do is identify our asymptotes. That's going to tell us our h and our k value. So we have a vertical asymptote at -2 and a horizontal asymptote at -3. And let's go ahead and rewrite our transformation function so we know what we're substituting in. And let's go ahead and identify a point. We could use this point right here. That's the point -1, -4, and that's just our temporary x and our y value. So when we substitute this information into our transformation function, we're going to get -4 equals, we don't know what a is, over our temporary x is -1. Since our graph moved to the left 2, it's actually going to be plus 2 because that's minus and negative. And then our k value, we went down 3, so our k value is -3. And let's go ahead and simplify what we can. We're going to get a over 1 minus 3. And here's our two-step equation. We're going to add 3 to both sides. We get -1 equals a over 1. Multiply both sides of our equation by 1. And a is equal to -1. So I'm going to rewrite this off to the side. We're running out of room here. Our function is going to be y equals -1 over x plus 2 minus 3. And that's the rational function of this graph. Alright, so that concludes our lesson on writing rational functions from graphs. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the comment section below. And for more math tutorials, subscribe to our channel, Friendly Math 101.